Donald Trump proposed and Afrikaners rejects.
We don't want to move elsewhere.
This led to another new conflict between Elon Musk and Julius Malema after the Afrikaners they have rejected the offer made by President Donald Trump by wanting to resettle them with their family in the USA by giving them the refugee status. The Afrikaners, represented by AfriForum, they had to come and say this.
We don't want to move elsewhere. We are not going to ask our children now to move to another country. The fact is, our ancestors worked hard to make sure that we as a people are formed down the southern tip of Africa. We're not going to disrespect that. We also have the interests of future generations in mind. We also have to make sure that our culture is transferred to future generations. And that cannot be done abroad. You cannot, in the long term, or there's a real risk, if you go to another country now, there's a real risk that your grandchildren will not say to you in the morning, "Hello, Opa." They would say something like, "Hi, Granddad," or something in that respect. And that we don't want. That is why we are committed to find solutions locally.
Well, that is the representative of AfriForum saying what he had to say as you guys heard it. But for what reason the Afrikaners have to reject this kind of offer? Guys, we all know that going in or being in America's soil, it is something which most of people usually wanting outside there. And here we're talking about a man who has been trying everything in his power to stop people from entering his country. But here he's opening his borders to welcome a certain kind of people in his country. Yet Afrikaners, they are rejecting all this. Why are they rejecting all this when they're the one who have called for Donald Trump's help?
The president saw our segment last night and he tweeted this response to it, quote, "I have asked Secretary of State Pompeo to closely study the South Africa land and farm seizures and expropriations and the large-scale killings of farmers." We should say that we did talk about the land seizures on the show last night. We did not address the killings that he referred to. We did mention the threat of violence. But in any case, today, the State Department elaborated on the president's tweet. Here's part of it.
I should mention that the expropriation of land without compensation, our position is that that would risk sending South Africa down the wrong path. We continue to encourage a peaceful and transparent public debate about what we consider to be a very important issue, and the South Africans certainly do as well.
Well, they must be having a very serious reason in order for them to refuse this kind of offer. I believe many people did not see this coming. But there's one person who had predicted all this. There's one person who once saw this coming, and he had spoken about it a long time ago. And he even did explain some of the reasons why these people don't want to go anywhere else. And here I'm talking about Julius Malema, who had said this.
They don't have anywhere to go. If you doubt, when they left Zimbabwe, why didn't they go to Europe? They hanged around. They are here in South Africa, still looking into Zimbabwe. What's happening that side? We want to go there. They've got nowhere to go. Stop listening to that. Anyway, we don't want them to go anywhere. They must be here. We must work together. Because if they leave, they will poison the land. So they must not poison the land. How many hectares you have? I've got 70. Okay, how many are you using? 20. You shall keep 20. 50 shall be allocated, not to any other person, but the person who wants the land to farm. You ought to present a proposal on how you are going to use that land. It's not free for all. You can't take the land and give to a DJ. The DJ wants to play music. He doesn't want to go into farming. The land must be given to those who want to use the land. The land must be given to people who want to produce, not to idle with the land. We don't have the land for jokes. We have the land for production. We want to multiply production in South Africa. We want the land of the mines to be given to the communities where the mine is. Stop the self-hate and think like, hey, what are we going to do with the mine? abelungu bazohamba umalema uzoxosha abalungu sizoyenzani ngemine. You are the mine manager yourself. The day you get that mine, that's the day you are going to realize that I can do this thing. I'm meant for this thing. You don't know your skills because you are not given an opportunity to demonstrate your capacity. We want to give you an opportunity, and let me tell you, you are going to fail, and we are going to keep on trying you until you get it right. You must not be told of a black failure when we give you a land and then that land was producing tea, it's no longer producing tea. Yes. So what? He can't produce tea, has never produced tea before. Let's help this person until he gets this farm right. We must not be a government that gives up on its own people easily like that. One failure, we knew black people. One failure, VPS, failure, finished. Japan invested its money in Toyota. Toyota, you see today, it failed. It failed many times. But Japan never stopped putting money into Toyota until Toyota became what it is today. It was an initiative of government. They've never given up on themselves. You give up on yourselves easily.
Looking at Julius Malema, you can tell already that this video it was taken many years ago when he had to say whatever he have just said in this video. Why he had to say all this? Because he had tried to see the whole entire situation. He had tried to understand the whole situation, and he ended up realizing that there is no way that these people they'll leave South Africa. And come to think of it, if we had to compare to the proposal made by Donald Trump and what these people they're having as a privilege in South Africa, that is total, two things which are more different, because the kind of privilege which they're having in South Africa, it's not the same privilege that we'll be having in America. Here we are talking about them having land, being in possession of South African economy, about 85% of them, regardless of how minority they seem to be. But do you think that would be the case in America? That is just a question. We're leaving it for another day. So obviously they knew very well that they'll have a lot to lose from all this if they have to follow or accept the proposal made by Donald Trump. So they rather prefer to stay in and focus one place because they know that they'll have a lot. But now that they have rejected the proposal of Donald Trump, what are they wanting exactly? Because when you listen to AfriForum and these other organizations which represent Afrikaners, you will see very well that they're saying that we really do appreciate for the fact that Donald Trump with the USA government, they are getting involved in this matter, because the whole purpose which they've been doing here for all these years, it was for them to get attention of the USA so that the USA they can come in and intervene in their behalf. And now that the USA they're showing that willingness of trying to talk in their behalf and defend them and saying whatever they've been saying so far, assuming whatever they've been saying, of course they were kind of now like having a bit of doubt, because the proposal which Trump ended up talking about them or proposing to them by asking them to go over there in America so that you give them papers, well, that's not what they wanted. They simply want something else, and they had to express themselves about it. Of course, they wanted to have an authority. They wanted to remain in a high positions. They wanted everyone to acknowledge them and with their authorities. That is what's happening here right now. They want Donald Trump to put even more pressure on the government of the ANC and everyone who've been standing about these things of land without compensation, and then so that things will just remain that way. They are doing this why? Because this is something they have done before in 1994 as they were busy negotiating, and they did failed. So now they are just using the same things to try it in another new method, and that's what they're doing right now.
The same message, by the way, to the Democratic Alliance, which seems to have forgotten that actually expropriation is part and parcel of the constitutional framework. And all of the debates that they are now resurrecting about expropriation in principle, about market-based compensation, were debates that were had in 1994. And the DP at the time raised these same debates. The National Party raised the same debates. Sheila Kamara was very strong and articulate during the negotiations, raised the debate. They lost those debates. Yeah. So what they've now tried to do is to resurrect them and basically use them as a stumbling block. And even the usage of the government of national unity, essentially to block constitutional reforms.
Is that what you think Dean McPherson is going to do? Because he is a minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, under whose department this legislation falls. Do you worry that he is going to force the implementation of this?
Well, he has no power, right, to stop the enforcement of legislation that has been signed by the president. He has the power to pass regulations, and he could craft those regulations in ways that make expropriation virtually impossible to apply because he is the minister. But ultimately, the final say on whether or not those regulations pass muster is not his. It is up to the judges. So hopefully there will be enough sort of below pressure to make sure that some of the positive elements of this act are implemented.
So let's talk about expropriation as an instrument of land reform.
Yes.
And when we say as an instrument of land reform, in simple language, the transfer of land to the hands of poor people who truly need it. My question to you, do you believe that this is where the country is headed with the Expropriation Act?
You see, the problem, Kole, is that it's very difficult to take the ANC seriously on land reform because it has given mixed messages for the past 30 years. It has always had the power to expropriate land in order to promote the public interest, to resolve the problem of dispossession and landlessness. And so far, it has not shown any seriousness in that regard. That's number one. Second thing is that this is not the bill. This is not the act to achieve land reform. It has still not passed the act that it should pass in order to address land reform. The ANC, you will remember, passed a resolution in its last conference, 2022, in which it said that there shall be a land redistribution bill. We are now in 2025. It's 3 years later. There are no signals of the land redistribution bill, but it is one of their resolutions. So I don't trust that there is enough political commitment to resolve land reform.
So they are kind of trying to use the same method which they had failed to apply in 1994. And they are trying to use it right now because they're kind of like trying, because if they don't try, this method will always come back soon or later. So they kind of like, they want things to be signed in the parliament so that everyone will be able to know that, okay, no, look, when we can discuss about anything, we can say anything we want to say, but when it comes to these matters, we should not be talking because it was being solved already a long time ago. That is the strategy which they've been trying to do for all these times. And now that it happened that they are having one of them who's next to the White House, who get to tell Trump what to do, and Trump have just to obey and do it. Well, that's a very good opportunity for them. But at the same time, the proposal of Donald Trump is something which does not sit okay with them because they don't want to immigrate anyway. And they know that immigrating somewhere is not going to be easy for them. It's going to make them lose everything, which, as you heard the representative of AfriForum saying that their ancestors, they were buried here and blah, 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 blah. They don't want their kid to be forgetting on how to call them grandpa in Afrikaans, and they don't want 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it is just a kind of a political statement which They can come and say in front of the camera, but in the reality, the true reason here is that they don't want to go anywhere because they have a lot to lose. If they have to try to leave South Africa, they will lose a lot of things, like what usually make them to be who they are. Secondly, also, they know that going where it is to Europe or going to America, they won't be dealing, or they won't be in like behaving those kind of privilege of treating other people in the low space and then seeing themselves like they're there, like the way they've been all this time in South Africa. You know what I mean? I don't even want to use the same language that's being used out there. But what I'm trying to say is that in South Africa, there's not that equality, right? There's not that equity. And they enjoy that. They prefer to see you as their gardener. They prefer to see you as their housekeeper. They prefer to see you as someone they can order around, they can boss around. And now that South Africans are refusing to do this kind of behaviors, that's where the problem comes. Now, we're seeing now Elon Musk going on and start attacking Julius Malema, saying that no, there is no way Trump he can only sanction South Africa by removing the AIDS funding when there is some individuals such as the Julius Malema, who's the mastermind behind all this so-called killing of Boers and so on, and is still walking free. Therefore, it's kind of like a whistling again in the ear of Donald Trump in order for Donald Trump to sanction Julius Malema. So it's kind of like saying that no, they should sanction Julius Malema, they should do this, they should be that. Beside that, it's even calling for Julius Malema to go ahead and answer in the International Criminal Court, like for his hate speech, according to Elon Musk. Since this point had been raised again on social media, well, there has been a lot of exchange from both sides.
The conversation around the South Africa-US relations, the economic freedom fighter says it's not bothered by a call by Elon Musk to have Julius Malema declared an international criminal. A very strongly worded statement by the EFF, and you add to that the earlier response by the leader of the EFF on the X platform. What, in a nutshell, is the EFF's understanding of where these attacks are coming from and what brings them about?
So the declaration by Elon Musk that the president of the EFF is an international criminal who must be declared an international criminal is something that doesn't faze us. It's just a combination of the U.S. foreign policy position that seeks to punish us for our position on Israel, but is seeking reasons otherwise to do so.
And obviously, Julius Malema have addressed this matter before concerning Elon Musk, when he had to come again and try to attack Julius Malema. So Julius Malema could not keep quiet when he came and have to give him the answer that he deserved back then.
And I won in court. The court said there's nothing wrong singing "Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer." It's not my song, it's a struggle song. I saw some McG wannabe, one of these podcast people who failed with a very low followers, for so his relatives only that are following him. He says, I must educate Elon Musk. What is that? No, the one of Twitter. Elon Musk. Elon Musk. I must educate Elon Musk. Why must I educate Elon Musk? He looks like an illiterate. The only thing that protects him is his white skin. Elon Musk wants to learn about this song. The records are there in court. Let him go and read the judgment. Let him go and listen to my arguments in court. I argued successfully and paralyzed the grandchild of Oppenheimer and said to him, if I were AfriForum, I was going to fire you from this case.
When they did an appeal, they fired him. In line with what I said. I said, you are the most stupid lawyer I've ever met. If I was your client, I would have fired you. He was fired. So what a failed a podcast, this unemployed, lack of creative people who go and just take cameras and then do flopped podcasts, imitating McG, faking it. McG is still going to outshine them because of their fraudulent mentality. Copycats. Says I must educate Elon Musk. Refer Elon Musk to YouTube. There is a full clip of the court appearance on that matter, where it was canvassed in a neutral court of law and a judgment was made. This matter is closed. We have no time for nonsense.
But it seemed like the answer which Julius Malema had given to Elon Musk by telling him that this matter it was already being inside the court. And we all know that that court, the person who was sitting there, they were not EFF members or they were not people. They were just doing their job properly. And Julius Malema had invited Elon Musk that if you have a problem with that, well, there is a court. I think even AfriForum, they did appeal. And the answer came out negative for them. They failed again. Julius Malema beat them inside the court. So all this, it seemed like it does not sit okay with Elon Musk, because Elon Musk, he strongly believed that no, this matter should be taken somewhere else, to a different court. Obviously, he's saying this because he knows very well that no, once this matter is taken in the international court, he's going to play his role there to corrupt or to do some things so that Julius Malema will end up being found guilty. Because proof to that, this man has been doing everything in his power to confirm on how racist he is. He went on and collaborated with people who also have the same kind of a view in a different matters. He's calling for Julius Malema to be sanctioned. Well, but guys, come to think of it, Julius Malema being sanctioned, okay, maybe it makes sense for them, but come to think of it, does it really matter? Because when we're talking about sanctions on someone like a Julius Malema, which is a political party, obviously it will be like, no, you are not allowed to travel to the USA. But obviously, does he even need to go to the USA? Now that Elon Musk is busy attacking Julius Malema, now that Elon Musk is trying to take these matters to another level in order for Julius Malema to be punished, well, do you think maybe, let's put the fact of him being racist aside, but don't you think that Julius Malema is being misunderstood by all this? Is it true that Julius Malema is preaching the hate speech toward these people? Is it true that Julius Malema hates white South Africans? Well, I just want us to watch this video more closely and try to understand exactly what is the reasons of that is motivating Julius Malema to always have something to say about these people before we get to judge him wrongly. Julius Malema back then, he had explained this in the media when he was being asked about the white privilege, and Julius Malema had to say that.
I won't be on my knees begging white farmers to stay in South Africa. But they must stay. If they want to stay, they are more than welcome. Like all South Africans, there's nothing special about them. Nothing. To ask me about, do I see value in the white farmers in South Africa, is to ask me about white privilege. I'm not going to glorify it. I see value in all South Africans. White, black, Indian, coloreds. All of us. I value you. I want you to contribute in the growth of the economy. There's nothing special about white farmers. There's nothing special about white people. The sooner we do that, away with that mentality, the better. I have no problem with white people at all. I have a problem with them being treated special. I have a problem with privilege. That's my problem. That when I say something, it's wrong. But when it gets to be said by a white person, it's right. I complained about Indians and how they are treating our people. The same way an Indian former constitutional court judge says, when it is said by an Indian judge, it's not a problem. When it is said because they've got a special place in heaven and we are all going to hell, I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. That when things are said by certain people of a different color, they are understood. But when I say them, or Dali says them, or any African says them, they are said by an African child who comes from a poor family, a child of a domestic worker. Who's he to tell us? Can't be told by these people. So no one is going to destroy any white farm. No white person is going to be killed or beaten up under the EFF government. It will never happen. But they will have to come down from the high horse, be here with us.
There is some story here that is going around that we are represented by white lawyers. It is true. They will represent us today, tomorrow, and anytime we want. No one chooses lawyers for us. We choose our own lawyers, and we know which one is best where. When we go to this battle, we take this one. When we go to that battle, we take this one. We are not an anti-white organization. We are a non-racial organization. And our stand against white racists is not against white people. We do not want racists. Everywhere we meet racists, we deal with them decisively. But where we meet patriotic white South Africans who love their country, who love their constitution, who want to share the wealth and the land with their own people, they are more than welcome.
So guys, whether we like it or not, listening to Julius Malema very well, you can tell already that this man, he have his own reasons, which is more like normal for most of people out there, because Julius Malema seek the equality between black South Africans and white South Africans, Indian colors, because he believed that everyone should be in the same level, and them being the same level is gonna help each and every person who's not in the same level to be also in the same level. And this fight of Julius Malema, wanting everyone to be in the same level, it seemed to be becoming now a serious problem for him, because this is what is making these people feel even more uncomfortable. Like I always tell you guys every time, that the problem with these people is that for the fact that they don't want to see themselves in the same level like everyone. That is the reason why if you go in different shops such as a ShopRite or Pick n Pay or Checkers, you find out that no, black South Africans were having this kind of work which belongs only for the black people and not for white South Africans. And there are certain kind of jobs they don't want to do it at all. They rather prefer a black man or a black woman to come and do it, but not them. So these are the facts, these are the things which we are surviving it in our daily basis. And Julius Malema mentioning all these kind of things, I believe you listening to him, you have also concluded in your own way. You have also your own testimony, something that you can testify to that and say that I think this guy, whatever he's saying here, it kind of like making sense. And that is something that these people, they don't want. So Julius Malema raising up all this, I think that's not a crime. It's just speaking the fact. It's just sentence which makes sense. So you must be a person who's having serious problem with this for you to see me like a bad person. Come to think of it, I'm just also expressing my opinion on that one. Because we all know what is happening or what's been happening for all these years. We all know how people they've been behaving all over for some times now. And we should not just keep quiet and let the history disappear like that. We need to talk. If there's a mistake, we need to talk. It is in that way that we can be able to fix the mistake. So these things of Elon Musk coming and start attacking South Africa by using his friend Donald Trump to sanction South Africa. The next thing's like, no, we want to do this to Julius Malema and blah, blah. I think it's not solution. As AfriForum representative, they had said, the solution to all this to come within South Africans. Yes, it's within South Africans by sitting down and try to consider each and every point which is being raised. What is it that one bad thing that why South Africans they usually do that it is pissing other people off? Address that matter. Face the real problem. Yeah, you come and tell us that, no, look, the mistake which our ancestors or our fathers have made, us who had nothing to do with it, we're a new generation. Okay, good. You think well, but in order for all this to be solved, there needs to be a serious apology. You had Julius Malema also raising up the same problem.
What makes the hostility is the inability of our fellow white South Africans to reach out. They don't reach out. They actually create an impression that we are actually owing them an apology. Not the other way around. We are the... I've never met a white person who says, let's preach reconciliation. They don't preach reconciliation. The victims are the ones who are preaching reconciliation. Victims, because we are begging. I'm not Cyril Ramaphosa, I don't beg them. I will never beg them. They are going to stay here if they agree to be equal to black people. And I can tell you, my brother, I hear your accent. South African whites, they don't fear war. They don't fear blood. They don't fear any land taken from them. They know it will never happen. They fear equality. That's the only thing they are scared of. That they are going to be equal to monkeys. That's the only thing they fear. They know this Malema, they've listened to my talks. They know even when they reported me to Human Rights Commission, there's nothing hate about what this guy is saying. They know that. My crime is to demand an equality. That's a crime I'm committing in this country. To demand that the white minorities must come down from their high horses and humble themselves and work with fellow South Africans. These Africans have got no problem with whites. Actually, they love them too much. Some of them hate me because they think I hate white people. Hey, this one, it's going to make whites go. They hate me for that. That's how much they love white people. They are prepared to sacrifice their own brother in protection of white people. That's how much they love. They have no problem with it. It is white people who have a problem with Africans. They do not see themselves being at the same level with Africans. And it is not only the white farmers, it's not the white managers in the it's not the white editors only. Go to the Supreme Court in the judiciary. I sit in the JSC there. How the white judges in the Supreme Court of Appeal look down at their colleagues at the highest level of educated whites. Don't think it's just a child of a farmer who has a problem with black people. An educated white judge at the highest level has got a problem with an educated and overeducated African judge. When they write a judgment, they ridicule the judgments of Africans. When an African or a colored wants to make a reference to the best reported judgment of an African, they say, no, don't use that. Use this one. They give you an alternative white reported judgment at the highest, second highest court. That's how difficult it is. Our black brothers have got no problem with white people. White people have got problem with us. No one is good. No one here. And some of us were even privileged because with the money we're getting in parliament, we've taken our children to private schools because there's no public school here in South Africa. Schools have collapsed. They befriend white kids. They bring them there in our houses. When we slaughter, we must start slaughtering with these friends of our kids. Do you think our children are going to allow that? We are building a completely new society where black and Africans are embracing one another. The problem is this old age. They have a big problem, those guys, because they know the privilege of apartheid. The young ones don't know the privilege of apartheid. They know the privilege of being called a madam and a boss, and then calling older women girls and older men boys. They know that privilege, and today is no more. That's what offended them. So I'm not going to beg them to stay here. I'm not begging anyone, especially white people. If they want to go, they can go. At least they've got somewhere to go. We don't have anywhere to go if things don't go right.
There needs to be an apology. These people owe South Africans an apology, but they never done so. And things won't work more freely. Things won't be that easy for them if there's no such a thing. Julius Malema gave example saying that imagine now people who owe you an apology, they are not making that effort. Instead, you are the one now who's even reaching them out just to make that peace a better environment for everyone to live in. So that kind of arrogancy, it is also something big, which is playing a very big role from all this. I think the day they'll accept that, no, look, 1, 2, 3, it was done, and we regret for it. Yes, those people who had caused these harms, they are no longer there. But as we are here in their behalf, we apologize, and we need to do 1, 2, 3. Just try to acknowledge the real problem. Because, guys, whether we like it or not, Black South Africans love these people so much, regardless of what they have done. That's the reason why even whatever is being said outside there, oh no, Julius Malema said this, Julius Malema is calling that, but yet in the reality, we don't see what's happening, like in terms of attacking other people. So this is a very simple matter. White South Africans, Black South Africans, they don't need Donald Trump or someone such as Elon Musk for them to solve this problem. Because if you need Donald Trump, look who people who are around him, or people who were the top sponsor of Donald Trump campaign. All of them, they are immigrants in Americans. I mean, yeah, there are people who comes like from Egypt. There are people who comes from how to call this, South Africa. People who were part of apartheid regimes. So now these people, when they do this, is because they want to protect a certain ethnics or a certain group of people from wherever they are coming. There are 3 of them. It's just that the other 2, I don't know their names. And that's not what South Africa needs. Because right now, it's kind of like a dividing South Africa, this whole thing. Elon Musk, he went there and he whispered in the ear of his friend. His friend, without also making his own research, he came and did what he's supposed to do. Now, on the other side, do you know what's happening now in South Africa? Do you have an idea of what is happening in South Africa? Because obviously, Black South Africans now, they feel like, okay, now look, these people, we should have done these things a long time ago, but we've been living with them. We said they are part of us, they are this and that, but look what they're doing behind us. Now they are going to cooperate with people who have to come and hurt us where it hurts the most. So obviously this will raise again a certain kind of anger within South Africans, and that's not how things are supposed to be. So my text in this, guys, the true solution to all this is by sitting down and try to see whatever is being said, whatever could be the allegations, is it true, yes or no? This matters. Has it been addressed, yes or no? If it has been addressed, then check on which way make the other side of people to complain or to raise up. What's it that we are not doing good in order for other people to have something to say about us? Once we look ourselves, or they look themselves and see what can be fixed, then I think it's going to be more easy. Yeah, I think it's going to be more easy, because even if Julius Malema himself, he knows very well that we need South Africans. I mean, white South Africans in South Africa. Yeah, you have said it a couple of times. So for that reason, at least, you can tell already that no one is not going to be in the good benefit of Julius Malema or any other South Africans to just let go of these people who've been part of us for so many years and all those kind of things. So at least the only things they can do also from their side is to make sure that whatever happens, it is now in the past. Now we need to do things differently. Now we need to know on how to live and love one another. Now we need to learn on how to respect each other. We're no longer at the time of colonials. Colonials is now over. They're supposed to be actually people supposed to be working so hard to make South Africa to become even more freely from the Western. So that if Trump have to come and stand and say that no, South Africa, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, them to be like, hey, don't do that to our people. And not to be siding with whatever Elon Musk and Trump they're doing over there. So I think that is the message that we should take from all this. That is the note that we should understand from all this, that no, if this problem have to be solved, well, it will be solved only by South Africans and not by Donald Trump, who have to come and tell South Africa on how to do things around. So I think if that can happen, then no one will complain that they have done this to me, or they are planning to do this and that, or they took the land away from me, or blah, blah. No one is going to complain about it. So guys, I believe that is it. Thank you so much for your time. Before you leave, we're looking forward to see your thumbs up, like this video in your numbers. Feel free to share your thought with us as well. Tell us what you think. This new battle or conflict that we are getting to see between Elon Musk and Julius Malema. Again, we thought it was over, but now it has come again back to life. So share your opinion with us and tell us what you think about it. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this to come. I'm looking forward to see you again in our next video. I believe that will be all for now. Continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon in our next video. Ciao, ciao.
My way.